There is a strange law that almost nobody notices until it's too late. The more desperately you try to prove your value, the less valuable you become. People assume power belongs to the loudest voice, the fastest reply, the strongest argument. They believe respect is earned by explaining themselves, defending every accusation, answering every message, correcting every misunderstanding. But reality rewards the opposite. Every unnecessary reaction quietly transfers authority from you to someone else. Every emotional response signs an invisible contract that allows another person to dictate your state of mind. That is how influence is stolen, not through force, through invitation. Most people never realize they are opening the door themselves. They answer every criticism. They chase every misunderstanding. They volunteer for battles that were designed to waste their attention. Then they wonder why they feel exhausted, while people with fewer talents seem impossible to shake. The difference is rarely intelligence. It is control. The strongest individuals understand something the crowd never learns. Attention is not free. Presence is not free. Emotion is not free. Everything you reveal becomes information. Everything you defend becomes a weakness someone can measure. Every explanation becomes another thread others can pull. The dangerous people never rush to close every gap. They allow uncertainty to breathe. They let silence create pressure. They let absence become louder than conversation. Centuries ago, Machiavelli observed rulers who collapsed long before their enemies touched them. They surrendered themselves one reaction at a time. Today, nothing has changed. Only the battlefield looks different. Offices replaced kingdoms. Social media replaced public squares. Group chats replaced royal courts. Yet the rules remain exactly the same. People still provoke before they compete. They still seek emotional access before they seek strategic advantage. If they can control your attention, they no longer need to control your circumstances. In the next few minutes, you are going to uncover 7 ruthless principles that separate those who preserve influence from those who unknowingly surrender it every single day. The first lesson will seem simple. By the end, you may realize it has been deciding every victory and every defeat in your life without you ever seeing it. Number 1, starve the hungry eyes. Every room contains people searching for the same resource. It is not money. It is not status. It is attention. Watch any workplace meeting. One person constantly interrupts. Another speaks longer than necessary. Someone forces jokes that nobody asked for. Another keeps checking whether everyone noticed their opinion. They all appear to be chasing recognition. What they are actually revealing is dependence. The individual who constantly asks to be seen immediately loses the advantage over the one who decides when to become visible. This is why scarcity changes perception. Diamonds are valuable because they appear limited. Exclusive clubs become desirable because entry is restricted. The same law governs human presence. The more available you become, the less people value your appearance. The more accessible your opinions become, the less weight they carry. Modern life quietly trains you to violate this principle. Every notification demands an instant answer. Every disagreement invites a response. Every criticism feels like an emergency. Eventually, your attention no longer belongs to you. It becomes public property. Anyone can rent space inside your mind simply by saying something provocative. That is not confidence. That is vulnerability disguised as kindness. Consider the executive who receives hundreds of messages every day. The inexperienced leader answers everything immediately because responsiveness feels productive. The experienced leader filters relentlessly, not because they lack respect, because they understand that every unnecessary answer delays an important decision somewhere else. Their silence is not neglect. It is allocation. Their focus creates results while everyone else is trapped maintaining conversations that never mattered. The same pattern exists inside relationships. Some people remain permanently available. They answer within seconds, rearrange their schedules without hesitation, explain every delayed reply. Slowly, their presence becomes expected instead of appreciated. Contrast that with someone whose attention cannot be purchased through persistence alone. They are warm when present, completely focused when engaged, but impossible to summon through guilt or pressure. Their value quietly rises because their availability never becomes ordinary. Here is the paradox. Refusing access often increases respect more than offering unlimited access ever could. People instinctively protect what appears difficult to obtain. They question what feels permanently available. Every time you interrupt your priorities to satisfy someone else's impulse, you teach them exactly how cheaply your attention can be bought. Eventually, they stop respecting the price because you removed it yourself. Imagine your attention as the entrance to a fortress. Most people leave the gate open all day, hoping visitors will appreciate the invitation. Instead, strangers wander inside. They leave footprints everywhere. They consume resources. They create noise. Then the owner wonders why the fortress no longer feels secure. Powerful individuals build differently. The gate stays closed by default. Entry requires purpose, trust, value, contribution. Nobody complains about the walls because the walls define the value of what they protect. The greatest shift begins with one uncomfortable question. Before responding to anyone, ask yourself whether this interaction deserves ownership of your next 5 minutes. Then ask whether those 5 minutes move your future forward or simply satisfy another person's temporary emotion. That answer quietly predicts the direction of your entire life. And once you stop giving access so freely, something unexpected begins to happen. The people who depended on your reactions become strangely restless, which reveals the second law almost nobody sees until it is already controlling them. Number 2, never close every question. Human beings can tolerate rejection longer than uncertainty. Rejection hurts once. Uncertainty repeats itself every hour. That is why unfinished conversations linger longer than finished arguments. That is why people replay a single unanswered message more than an entire heated debate. The mind was built to complete patterns. When a pattern remains open, attention returns to it automatically. Most people accidentally destroy this advantage because they rush to explain everything. Someone misunderstands them. They immediately clarify. Someone questions their motives. They write 3 paragraphs defending themselves. Someone spreads a false story. They sprint to correct every detail. Each explanation feels responsible, yet each explanation quietly gives away leverage. Every answer closes curiosity. Every clarification removes tension. Every defense provides fresh material that others can reshape tomorrow. Powerful people understand something counterintuitive. Not every misunderstanding deserves correction. Not every accusation deserves oxygen. Sometimes the fastest way to strengthen a lie is to wrestle with it publicly. Observe successful brands after minor online outrage. The inexperienced company responds to every comment until the controversy grows larger than the original mistake. The experienced company identifies whether the criticism threatens long-term trust or merely feeds temporary attention. One fights every fire. The other refuses to pour fuel onto sparks that would have died alone. Individuals rarely show the same discipline. A single negative remark can dominate their entire day because they believe reputation depends on universal agreement. It never has. Reputation is built through consistent behavior, not endless explanation. There is another psychological effect hiding beneath silence. When people receive complete information, they stop imagining. When information disappears, imagination begins working overtime. That imagination rarely stays neutral. It expands possibilities. It invents motives. It searches for hidden meanings. This is why mystery has always carried influence beyond its size. The unknown occupies more mental space than the obvious. Silence is not powerful because it sounds intimidating. Silence is powerful because it forces other people to continue the conversation inside their own minds while you have already moved on. But there is a trap. Silence without purpose becomes avoidance. Strategic silence requires emotional stability. It means choosing not to speak because speaking creates less value than restraint. That distinction changes everything. One comes from fear. The other comes from control. When someone tries to provoke you, they are rarely searching for truth. They are searching for evidence that they can reach your emotions. The moment you react exactly as expected, you confirm they have found the correct button. Next time, they simply press it harder. But when the expected reaction never arrives, confusion replaces certainty. Their strategy begins collapsing before your eyes. They prepared for resistance. They never prepared for composure. And once people discover they can no longer predict your responses, they begin losing something far more valuable than an argument. They lose confidence in their ability to influence you. That uncertainty becomes the foundation of real authority. But controlling what you say is only the beginning. The next lesson is even more dangerous, because it teaches when disappearing creates more influence than appearing at all. Number 3, become rare before you become powerful. Most people believe influence grows through constant visibility. Be everywhere. Post every day. Answer every invitation. Accept every meeting. Stay available. Stay connected. Stay remembered. It sounds logical. It is also the fastest path to becoming ordinary. The human mind adjusts to repetition with frightening speed. What appears every day eventually becomes background noise. The song you loved becomes invisible after the 100th replay. The luxury car parked outside every morning disappears from attention within weeks. Familiarity creates comfort. Too much familiarity destroys impact. This is why the most respected people are rarely the most accessible. Their presence arrives with intention. Their absence leaves evidence. Think about the executive whose calendar always has empty space. People assume they are unavailable because they are important. Sometimes the opposite is true. They became important because they protected that space long before anyone recognized their value. They understood that every unnecessary commitment silently taxes future decisions. The crowd measures productivity by activity. The strategist measures productivity by preservation. They ask a different question. Not what deserves my time. What deserves my best attention? Those are rarely the same thing. Look at modern politics. The leader who comments on every controversy eventually becomes predictable. Journalists know exactly how to provoke another headline. Opponents know exactly which emotional button creates another public reaction. Soon the leader is no longer directing the conversation. The conversation is directing the leader. Contrast that with the individual who speaks only when the timing changes the outcome. Every appearance feels deliberate. Every statement creates anticipation because silence created scarcity first. People begin listening before the first sentence is spoken. That is not charisma. That is controlled exposure. Relationships obey the same law. Some people fear disappearing because they mistake constant contact for emotional security. They send another message simply to maintain momentum. They fill every pause with conversation because silence feels dangerous, yet the relationship slowly loses its pulse. There is no room for curiosity, no opportunity for anticipation. Nothing remains to discover because everything is immediately available. Real connection needs breathing room. Presence gains value only after absence reminds people what it feels like without you. This does not mean becoming emotionally distant. It means refusing to become emotionally automatic. There is an enormous difference. The first creates loneliness. The second creates appreciation. Imagine two business partners. One answers every request immediately. The other responds thoughtfully after protecting time for deeper work. Months later, the first partner is drowning in urgency. The second partner is leading larger decisions because their attention was never fragmented into hundreds of tiny obligations. Availability created dependence. Boundaries created authority. Here is where most people fail. They think strategic absence means disappearing dramatically. They delete accounts, ignore everyone, vanish overnight, hoping mystery alone will create influence. It never does. Total disappearance creates forgetfulness. Strategic absence creates contrast. The difference is precision. You remain present where purpose exists. You quietly withdraw where energy is merely consumed. People stop expecting unlimited access. They begin respecting limited access. That shift changes every interaction. Invitations become intentional. Conversations become shorter but richer. Even disagreement becomes calmer because people realize emotional pressure no longer guarantees your participation. Eventually, they stop expecting instant reactions altogether. And once that expectation dies, something far more dangerous begins. They start filling the silence themselves. They begin wondering what occupies your attention instead. Curiosity quietly replaces certainty. Scarcity quietly replaces familiarity. Without announcing it, you have changed your position in the social hierarchy. But there is one psychological force even stronger than scarcity. It is the unbearable discomfort created when someone realizes they can no longer reach you emotionally. That is where the next principle begins. Number 4, let them chase their own shadows. There is a mistake almost everyone makes when they feel attacked. They believe victory means defeating the other person. They prepare arguments, collect evidence, search for the perfect response. They imagine one brilliant sentence will finally silence the critic. It almost never happens, because the critic was never searching for truth. They were searching for movement. The moment you react, you become part of their entertainment. You step onto a stage they built long before you arrived. Every reply keeps the performance alive. Every emotional response extends the show. The crowd may not remember who was right. They will remember that you stayed in the fight. The strategist understands something different. Attention is oxygen. Remove the oxygen, and most conflicts suffocate on their own. This is why emotionally disciplined people rarely look victorious in the beginning. From the outside, they appear passive, detached, even weak. But time quietly reverses the illusion. While everyone else burns energy repeating the same argument, they continue building. Their projects move forward. Their relationships deepen. Their reputation grows through visible results instead of verbal defense. Months later, the people who demanded their attention are still trapped inside the same emotional cycle. The battle ended long ago for one side. The other side never realized they were fighting alone. Human psychology cannot tolerate that feeling for very long. We instinctively seek acknowledgement. A child repeats a behavior until someone notices. A performer watches the audience more than the stage. Even anger depends on recognition. Strip away the audience and emotion begins collapsing under its own weight. That is why indifference feels heavier than confrontation. Confrontation confirms existence. Indifference questions it. Imagine someone leaves a cruel comment beneath your work, hoping to provoke embarrassment. They refresh the page expecting resistance. Hours pass. Nothing. They return again. Still nothing. Now the conversation they wanted with you begins happening inside their own mind. Did you see it? Did you ignore it? Did it fail? Should they try again? Without realizing it, they become occupied by the very person they hoped to disturb. You already moved on. They remained behind. This principle extends far beyond social media. In negotiation, the person desperate to fill every silence often reveals information they never intended to share. In business, the competitor obsessed with your next move slowly abandons their own strategy. In relationships, the individual constantly testing your emotional limits eventually exposes their own dependence instead. They expected pursuit. They discovered distance. They expected frustration. They discovered composure. They expected access. They found a locked door. That psychological collision creates something few people can handle: uncertainty. And uncertainty forces people to confront themselves. Some become more respectful because manipulation no longer works. Others become louder because noise is the only tool they have left. Either outcome reveals their character more clearly than any confession ever could. But there is an even harsher lesson waiting beyond this one. Sometimes the greatest threat is not the person attacking you openly. It is the person standing quietly beside you while slowly consuming everything you never noticed you were giving away. Ending. Most people will leave this video believing they understood these principles. Very few will have the discipline to live by them. From this moment on, every reaction becomes a choice. Every silence becomes a decision. Every boundary becomes a declaration of who deserves access to your life. The question is no longer whether the world can influence you. The question is, who still has permission to enter your mind?